today, they will be able to see and to listen to that session again. We're going to post that on the work forum. Key topics that I want to talk about today. The first one is the fund management screen. Each of you already know that screen because you had to set it up for your go live date, where you had to enter the budget in there. We have made few changes to that one, so we're going to show you that because you may need to go back and make changes to that setup that you have originally done. Then the second piece, and this is what is going to take, I think, most of the demo's time, is the key activities. So this is a change to the system in the WITS, but I want to show you how it works. It is basically changing the fact that you have currently an ATR case management flag on the agency profile. We are going to replace these by key activities at the contract level. And I'm going to show you how all of that works. Whoever just joined, that was you. Okay, good. Always a challenge to have a lot of people on the line. And I can mute everybody if we come to that. But I really don't want to mute everybody because I really want to hear the feedback or questions that everybody has. So the two changes that are going to impact everybody is the ATR fund management and the key activities. So this is what I'm going to cover first, and I will give some time at the end of key activities for the questions. Then several ATR3 grantees have enabled the RSS questionnaire in the January release, and several ATR3 grantees have also enabled the recovery plan.
I was afraid of this. This don't even apply to us. This is like contract management and billing and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, just say that.
So I'm going to go over that first part of the demo, and whoever doesn't want to see...
Office, right?
Right, but I have my ear set on mute. I just didn't know if they could hear me.
My door is closed.
Can I ask you to mute your phone as well?
That's all.
There should be a part in there.
Okay, I'm going to mute everybody. Sorry about that. And I'm going to try to unmute after a little while so that everybody can mute their own phones if they can do that. So I was just saying that I'm going to demo these first two pieces, the fund management and the key activities for everybody, and then whoever doesn't need or doesn't want to see the RSS questionnaire and the recovery plan, just drop off the call. So that's why I'm covering these first pieces first. Okay? So let's jump right now into the system. I'm going to show you from the standard ATR only site. The standard ATR only site is a site that has the bare bones functionalities of WITS VMS. So if you have configurations, if your system has special screens that were developed especially for your state, you will obviously not see it on the screen. This is the core and the core functionalities of WITS VMS, and this is what is going to allow me to show you the changes. So don't get scared if you don't see your changes, because your version is customized for your state. The first thing I want to show you actually was the ATR fund management. So I'm going to log in as the contracting agency. That's easy, I'm the contracting agency. You know that you need to have a contract, an ATR contract in place in order to see that menu that is called ATR Fund Management. On that screen, this has changed now. It is a list. That means that you could have an ATR2 and an ATR3 plan. So some of you on the phone have been using WITS VMS since ATR2, even ATR1. So for the plan, you click on the profile, okay, and this is where some of the changes have occurred. Now you still have the header at the top where you enter your fund name and the effective date of your fund, which is the total length of the grant. It is for ATR3, and then you see that we added the administrative budget, and this is grayed out. This means that now the user will be able to enter the administrative budget and the service budget, as well as the client target number of clients to be served by a grant year. So in order to add a grant year, you will click on Add Grant Year or on the profile to review one that is already there. And what you will do is just you enter the fiscal year. So you type 2011, and the system is going to automatically populate it with the start date and the end date of the grant year, the federal fiscal year for your grant, right? You will be able to enter your administrative budget and your service budget. So the service budget is the amount that can be spent on vouchers within your grant. Right, so you will have this allocated by fiscal year. So if you know how much is allocated by fiscal year, you will be able to add up administrative budget and service budget, and this is the total amount of your grant, right? Then you will also need to enter the client number, the target number of clients to be served. You also have that allocated by grant year, by fiscal year, right? So you will be able to enter that. And on that screen, we are showing you the actual number of clients. So that means that anytime you will go back to that screen, you will be able to see how many clients have actually been entered into the WITS system, so that you will see how close you are to your target number. It's just informational. And it is the same thing for the encumbered amount and the expended amount. You have a service budget of that much, and you will be able to see real time what is your encumbered amount, so how close are you getting to your service budget. You want to make sure you don't go over that. So this is for information purpose on that screen. I click Finish, I go back, and I see that I have a list of my different grant years. You originally created only one grant year, so what is going to happen with the January release is the fact that we're going to take any values that you have entered in that profile screen, and we are going to automatically create one grant year. So then it will be your responsibility to go in and add the additional grant years and have the right admin budget and service budget for each of the grant years. So you will go on that screen, you will click on Add a Grant Year, you will enter the fiscal year, you will enter your administrative budget, your service budget, and the client target number. And you will do that for the 4 years of your grant. Easy, right? Then on the profile, on the header of our ATR Fund Management screen, the administrative budget is going to be calculated and is the sum of all of the administrative budgets for my grant years. So this administrative budget should be the total administrative budget for your grant. And the same for the service budget. This will be the total, the sum of all of your grant years service budget. So it should be the total service budget for your grant. Now here is the interesting field, and you already know that one. We haven't touched this one. This one is the allocated amount. So this is the amount that you are going to allocate to vouchers. You're going to say, okay, as of now, I'm allocating $145,000 for vouchers. This is your overall cap, when users are going to create vouchers, they won't be able to create vouchers for more than that amount. And you can go in and change that amount as you wish. Here you will have all of the tools and all of the information to show you how much has been vouched so far. Am I getting close to my allocated amount? If I am, and if I still have budget within my year, I will be able to bring that up and to change it so that nobody will be stuck and won't be able to create vouchers anymore. So you still have this flexibility of changing the allocated amount. And this is the total service budget amount that you can use on vouchers, and you can manage that dollar amount. So each time I change it, I will see the allocated amount will have changed, and we see the date and the time and the person who made that change. So that's the extent of what was done. So remember, there is a data migration that is going to run and create that first grant year. I would suggest that after you get your January release, that you're going into that screen and you go to edit your fund management grant year so that you can add 3 more years to that and update the first year that was created for you. If you feel like you need assistance with that, just call your PM, and your PM will be very happy to help you set that up. This is important to have this budget set up for you for managing your burn rate, and also for all of the CSAT monthly and quarterly reports, where these reports should include the target client number and the actual number. Now we'll be able to pull all that data together in the reports for you. Have any question about that change? No? Okay, everybody's very quiet. That's great. So now let's get to the next cool change. And this is what we call the key activities. So the key activities, as all of you know, we have on the agency profile, currently there is this ATR case manager flag, and it's a yes or no. And that's how we know if it's a care coordinator, if it's somebody that does the GIPRA intake, the voucher, the referral voucher, and things like that. This worked very well for ATR2, but it seems like for ATR3, with all of the grantees that we've met with, it seems like this wasn't allowing enough flexibility to have this yes-no. So we thought about it, and what we are doing now is that we are going to eventually get rid of that flag. This flag is going to disappear from the agency profile. And all of the activities, the actions that an agency will be able to do within the ATR process will be driven by the contract. This will allow flexibility on having different types of activities that agency can do, but also can be different from ATR2 to ATR3 and ATR3 to ATR4 and all of that. So a great deal of flexibility. I'm not sure if people are coming or dropping, but so let me show you how that works. I have, I'm still a contracting agency, and I have different contracts. I have a contract with a care coordination agency. So I have an ATR3 contract. You all recognize the contract claim, right? The thing that has changed is now on the associated plan. When you are going to add the ATR3 plan to your contract, the key activities action is going to be displayed. And this will have to be filled out. It's a requirement. Here are the key activities that So remember it was a yes-no flag. Now we have a little more definition of what the user can do, the agency can do. And this is within the agency, within that contract. The agency will be able to create an ATI intake or edit an ATI intake, create a GIPRA intake, edit a GIPRA intake, create a GIPRA follow-up, edit a GIPRA follow-up, create a GIPRA discharge, edit a GIPRA discharge, create a referral, edit referral voucher, create local vouchers, and edit local vouchers. Here, the care coordination agency has been given all of the key activities. By doing that, I am case management flag set to yes. This is the equivalent of setting the case management flag to yes for the ETL3 contract. That means that this agency can do all of the care coordination case management activities possible. So for the ones on the call that are not going to need more flexibility or more flexibility on the activities that your provider agency will need to do, you will just need to select all of the key activities, and that's it. And we're actually doing a data migration with the release. So upon the deployment of the release, there is a data migration and it's going to look at this case management flag on the agency profile. And if it's set to yes, it is going to select all of the key activities within the contract of that agency. If it is set to no, then only the non-key activity will be selected. So this is the contract for my care coordination agency. I also have a contract with a provider agency who's called Provider Jones. And this agency has it set to none, no key activities. So this is the standard of a provider agency that cannot do any of these. Now, maybe some of you may have some agencies, the one responsible for doing the GIPRA discharge to that other provider agency that I have. And with that provider agency, so this one is called provider, and the key activities of that provider are create GIPRA discharge and edit GIPRA discharge. This means that this provider agency will be able to do whatever they have been used to do so far, plus the ability to create a GIPRA discharge and edit a GIPRA discharge. Maybe some of you have a specific agency that does the GIPRA follow-up, and the only thing they do is GIPRA follow-up. For that, I have another contract with another agency that I call follow-up. And within the contract of that agency, the key activities that I have set up are create GIPRA follow-up and edit GIPRA follow-up. I have a question from Bernie that I should probably be answering, and I'm going to unmute Bernie. So Bernie's question is asking, can the activity be create a referral without creating the attached voucher? The answer is no for now. This is the referral is not a key activity for ETL. We call it key activity, Bernie, because it's key. It's not all of the activities, pretty much. Because if we want to add more activities, then this list may be very long and not very manageable. So referral is not something that you need to do. Of course, you can talk with Becky and see if we can add that for you, if that becomes a need for Hawaii.
Okay, so basically at this point, if one agency makes a referral to another agency, they have to create a voucher, or it is just a service that is available?
No, if they create a referral and if you don't give them the create referred voucher and edit referred voucher, they will create a referral without being able to add a voucher to that referral.
Outstanding. That's what I needed to know. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay, so this one is my follow-up agency. So let's recap. We said we had 4 types of agencies. I have a care coordination agency that can do all of the key activities. I have provider drones that cannot do any. I have provider lists who can create only the GIPRA discharge, and I have follow-up agency that can create and edit GIPRA follow-up. What I want to do now, if you're interested, is that I'm going to show you how that actually works within each of these agencies. And you will see it doesn't change much, but it's very important to set it up properly to start with. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to change my context, and I'm going to be the care coordination agency. So you see my context has changed at the top of the screen. And I'm going to create a client or to search for my client. My client name is Paul. I'm looking for my client. I have a profile, so this is the standard profile, maybe different for you. And for that client, I have been able to create an intake. Here I'm able to create an intake and save an intake because that agency has the create ATR intake capabilities. Also next, that agency was able to create a GIPRA intake and will be able to add a follow-up and a discharge because that agency has all of these key activities. We are the care coordination agency that can do everything. This agency has actually consent with the 3 other provider agencies that we talked about. And so the first thing I'm going to do is to create a referral with Provider Jones. Provider Jones, if you remember, is my provider that has no activities. Try to make it understandable. So my provider that has no activity, I'm creating a referral, and I have this referred voucher activity. The fact that I have the referred voucher activity actually enables the menu on the left-hand side. So that means that I can create a voucher for that provider agency. So that's the voucher screen. And I'm adding a service. So this provider is going to provide spiritual support and 6 sessions. So now I just showed you that as a care coordinator, with all of the key activities, I was able to create the ATR intake, create the GIPRA intake, and create the referral with the voucher in it. So the referred voucher is where the key activity is. We will go back, but for now I want to show you when I'm as Provider Jones. So I'm changing my context again for whoever is not following. Now I'm in the context of Provider Jones. Provider Jones, if we go back, is the provider agency that has none of the key activities. If the provider has none of the key activities, that means that that provider is going to be able to do the exact same thing as what they were able to do earlier with having this AKR case management flag set to no. So I'm going to prove you that, to show you that. So I'm going to look at that referral. And I see that Paul has been referred to me. I'm going to accept that referral. It is creating the client profile. I have it editable because I'm an administrator. I'm able to change that. But here, the client profile is automatically created for that user. If I go to voucher, I see that there is a pending voucher for that client. And here you see at the top, that's exactly the message I wanted to show you. You have an informational message at the top that says that the voucher cannot be edited since the edit local voucher key activity is not selected for the contract length. So if you haven't given that activity to your provider, they won't be able to edit the voucher. However, they will still be able to accept or decline the voucher. Now the provider, if they go on the intake screen, they also won't be able to edit the intake. So if they cannot edit and if they cannot create, then you're still safe that a provider agency won't be creating ATR clients and intakes because the care coordinator does that. The same with the GIPRA. There is no GIPRA link showing up here, so no way they could create a GIPRA. And that's like if you go to referral also, there won't be any link to create a voucher. So I just wanted to show you that. But the provider will still be able to create an encounter. No changes to that. This is not one of the key activities. Everybody is allowed to create an encounter for the services that they provided to the client. Okay, so what I have done so far is that I have showed you how the care coordinator can do everything. The provider cannot do more than what they used to be doing, right? Now I want to show you the provider that can also do discharges. So we said that we had a referral between, and I'm going to show you that. We have a referral between the care coordination agency and the provider for the discharge and with the follow-up agency for the follow-up. So let me quickly jump back to the care coordination agency. And I don't want to lose anybody, so let me know if I'm going too fast. Actually unmuted everybody in case you want to tell me if I'm going too fast. Okay, so I'm back in the care coordination agency. And let's go back into Paul, the client we've been working with so far. So I'm within the Paul's activity. So that's my intake for Paul. And I can see that for Paul I have other consents and referrals. So I have a referral with the provider discharge, and I have a voucher with that provider for the GIPRA assessment, the fact that they're going to do one discharge, and also some spiritual support service that that provider is providing. And I have a referral to that follow-up agency because I want to send the client to that agency to do the GIPRA follow-up interview on that client. So here I have a voucher for that GIPRA assessment. So far so good, right? I have a client whose name is Paul, this client has been referred to provider Jones with voucher. This client is referred to provider discharge, and it's a provider agency that is going to provide services plus doing a GIPRA discharge, and the client has been referred to follow-up agency so that the agency can conduct the follow-up GIPRA follow-up interview on that client. So I'm going to be provider discharge so that I can show you what that provider is able to do. This provider has received a referral, as you know. So I have that referral that I have accepted. So as I have accepted that referral, now the client is one of my clients, and I'm that provider agency, right? So I can look at the activity for that client, and I will be able to create a GIPRA discharge. So this is what I wanted to show you. If I have that key activity, it is going to enable that link for me so that I will be able to create a GIPRA discharge for that client. And I know that a couple of you on the line wanted to have your providers being able to conduct the GIPRA discharge interview and have the providers do that. So I'm entering that. That's the discharge. It's taking the number of sessions that have been entered in the system, and I guess we have entered only one so far. So here we go. The GIPRA discharge has been created for that client by that provider agency. And that provider can create anything else, right? That provider has a voucher, and the voucher cannot be edited, so the same as the other one. Now the last agency I want to show you is that follow-up agency. Now I'm changing the context, everybody. Now I'm the follow-up agency. And I'm moving my hand so that everybody can see that I'm changing context, but it's kind of difficult on other phones. Now the provider agency, that is the follow-up agency, also accepted the referral. So Paul Rogers is one of the clients of that follow-up agency. If you go to the profile, you see that there is a voucher that has been accepted. But again, that voucher cannot be edited. And the reason why that cannot be edited is because that provider agency doesn't have the edit or create local voucher key activity. See, there is no add voucher link either. Then they don't have that activity. So the only activity that they will be able to do from our key activities is the GIPRA follow-up. So now this is the link that is showing up. And they will be able to enter that follow-up interview. And the client moved. So here you go. Here what I wanted to show you quickly was how you can control from the contract that you have with your provider agency, you can control which key activities they have access to. So that could be scenarios like the ones I just mentioned, where you will have a care coordination agency that can do everything and a provider agency that can only accept vouchers and create encounters. Then you may have a scenario where a provider agency can also do GIPRA discharges because that's the way you want it to be, and have some agency that will do only the follow-up. Then some of you may have, there are some of the other key activities like edit and create and edit referred vouchers and create and edit local vouchers. Maybe some of you have some care coordination agencies that can create referred vouchers, but they cannot create local vouchers. They cannot create vouchers for themselves for some reason because they are already, salary is already included in your administrative budget, for example. Then you will be able to have within your contract with the care coordination agency, you will be able to remove that local, create and edit local voucher activity for that care coordination agency. Then there are some grantees that have some care coordination agency that will create the referred voucher, but that won't be able to edit the referred vouchers. They want the contracting agency to be the one receiving the request to edit them. So that's another way of using these key activities to restrict different access or to give different access to different agencies within your provider network for ATR. So these key activities are going to ultimately replace that ATR case management flag on the agency profile. We will drop that field in a subsequent release. We haven't dropped it yet because it's still used in a couple of other screens where we haven't found really the solution yet of how we're going to replace that flag and what is going to replace that flag. And one of them is actually this agency billing voucher list screen. That screen is and I'm going to use everybody again. That screen is very useful, and this is a screen that is used by all of the users. If you're a provider agency, a care coordination agency, or a contracting agency, you're all accessing that screen, but that screen is filtered based on who you are. If you're a contracting agency, it is going to select your agency, and it's going to be grayed out, and everything you will see will be the vouchers that have been created for agencies that have a contract with you. And if you are the care coordination agency, you are the administrative agency, you are the one who created the voucher. So this will ultimately be replaced by whichever agency has the create referred voucher key activity, for example. So we still have to talk with each of the states and figure out how we want to replace that flag on a screen like this one. Once we have done that, then we will be able to get rid of the flag on the agency profile. It's going to take a couple of months. We don't want to drop it quite yet, but we're replacing it little by little. So this is what I wanted to show you about the key activities. So I haven't muted everybody. Does it make sense? Did I confuse anybody, or does it make sense? Do you have any questions? Not everybody at the same time.
Okay.
Weird, you know? Is it because nobody has any questions? So don't worry. I mean, if you have set up your agencies a long time ago and they are set to yes or to no, there is a data migration that is going to look at all of the contracts for these agencies and set the key activities. You understood? If it's yes, it's going to give all of the key activities. If it's no, the key activity is none. It makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to everybody. Okay, we have one voice.
Marianne, for Hawaii, I think that it's pretty much all makes sense, and what I'm going to do is just visit with Steve, and if we have any clarifying questions, we'll ask Becky. But I think in terms of this, any question I have is just really specific to my state. So otherwise, it makes a lot of sense. So.
Good, good. And I think you wanted some flexibility like that also, Bernie, right?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
So that works for you. Perfect. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to continue and talk about the next topic. And don't hesitate, if you have a question that comes up, let me know. The next topic is the RSS questionnaire and the recovery plan. So if you don't have that, if you didn't request the RSS questionnaire, if you don't want it, the recovery plan, you can drop the call. We won't be mad at you for doing that. So I am the Care Coordination Agency, and let's be with Paul. And that's actually good we have Bernie on the line because she can tell us how she's using this RSS queue. I'm the Care Coordination Agency, right? I'm still with Paul. This is Paul Rogers. He's our client. And you see now there is a new menu that is called Assessment. For most of you, this is new. This is something we have just enabled this month in order to enable the RSS questionnaire. This assessment menu is also going to show up only if you give the assessment full access or assessment read-only role to the user. So if you know that the provider agencies are not going to do RSS, just make sure that the provider staff, whichever staff works in the provider agency, doesn't get this assessment role so that they will not see the menu. If only Care Coordination Agency do RSS queue, then make sure that the staff within the Care Coordination Agency have the assessment full access, so that they will be able to see the menu and add a record. So this RSS queue is a questionnaire that has been developed by the initiative of SAMHSA, Altarum, and ASAM, and they have been working on this for a long time. I haven't heard of a release version, a final version of the RSS queue, but this is the latest that we have been able to get. So let me tell you all that as soon as we receive the final version, we will be updating the screens to reflect whichever changes are needed to the screens to match the final version of the questionnaire. And if any of you hear about the latest version, like it has been released, just don't hesitate to let me know, to send me the questionnaire by email, and our team will be very happy to make the update for everybody. We'll keep you posted also if we hear anything. But that's pretty much it. Like the paper copy that we had, we have just reproduced it and put it into the WITS VMS, and this was actually done in collaboration with Hawaii. Wanted to have that RSS queue for ATR3, and now most of you are going to take advantage of that one. This is part of your ATR3 core development. So this RSS queue has an interviewer name and a date, so when the interview is done. And everything that you see in this this brown area is actually something that has to be said by the interviewer. So it's some kind of guidance for the interviewer to ask these questions that are recovery oriented. This was in the paper version, and this was part of the philosophy of that questionnaire. So that's really here as a helper. The questions in dark yellow are required to create the questionnaire. So if the client was unable to conduct the interview, you say yes or no, true or false. click Save, always click Save, and then you click Next, this arrow to go to the next screen. You see now that on the menu on the left, this menu is becoming big because these are all of the sections that are included in the RSS queue. I'm not going to go over each of them today, but you will be able to see that on your training site. When this is updated to your training site, I really encourage each of you to go in and test and see how that works. This is pretty much the questions that were in the paper version that we put in the system. So you see that you have fields in light yellow. That means that they are not required right now. That means that I could save that record without having answered these questions. And the questionnaire will be with an in-progress status, whereas the fields that are in dark yellow are the required fields. So if I click Save at the bottom of the screen, the system will tell me that I need at least to select a goal. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at this list of goals, and I'm going to select the goals of my client. My client wants to connect with others and reduce the alcohol use. Something specific about that questionnaire is that if you select Other, you will be able to select Other and bring it to that box here, and then the description can be entered. So you can have another description entered in here. Now, the fact that I have selected several goals, my next question, the G4, is asking me to answer the priority of my goals. So I will choose which one is my goal number 1, which one is the goal number 2, and the goal number 3. For each of the questions, you will notice that there is a text section. So you can enter any comments about the question as necessary. So that's pretty much the standard everywhere on that screen, where you have the question from the interviewer, the list of answers, and the comment section. So you want to click Save and click on the next, and it brings you to the next topic. You see the interviewer is guiding you through that questionnaire. So far, so good. So it's really a step-by-step guidance. So you see all of these fields are in light yellow, right? That means that I'm able to click on Finish. When I click Finish, it brings me back to the activity list. And when I'm on the activity list, what I can see is that my questionnaire is in progress. It's in progress, and I can click on the details here. And the details is showing me, and you see that I have the trunk building in the back. Oops. Sorry, let's do that again. The in-progress detail is actually giving me the list of all of the questions that are missing. So this record is actually going to be completed only when the user goes in and adds answers to all of the questions that are in light yellow. So for some of you, this is a brand new concept of having these light yellow fields. This is what we call state reporting required fields. User doesn't have to answer all of the questions to save the record, but the idea is that the record should be completed at some point to do some additional activities. The fact that we enabled the RSS queue enabled these light yellow fields, but it hasn't been enforced to which activity do you need. Some states want to have the RSS queue completed before DPRA can be done, or an encounter cannot be done until the RSS queue is completed. So you will be able to play with it and see if you really want to enforce the completion of that record or not, of that assessment, of that questionnaire. So all of these are the different screens of the questionnaire. And at the end, you will say thank you for being with me today. Do you have any feedback, Bernie, to give on that questionnaire? I believe you've been using it, right?
I think there was a couple of things that I needed clarification on. There were a couple of real minor programming edits, but my understanding is that those have all been fixed now, and this is a huge undertaking. We're really excited that this was able to be incorporated, and we know that SAMHSA is pushing this direction, and so we just took a leap of faith and figured they'd probably continue to push this direction, so we wanted to get in front of it instead of trying to play catch-up. I hope other jurisdictions find it helpful to them as well.
Good, great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions about that questionnaire?
Marion, this is Latanja from Arkansas.
Hi, Latanja.
We were wanting to know, is this going to be a printable form where we can print it off?
You can print it, yes.
Okay.
You want to do it on paper before? You want to do it on paper?
I was thinking to do it on paper first and then come back and enter it in.
Yeah, so what you can do, you can print it from WITS, or you can use the paper version of the tool that I can forward to you.
Okay, if you could, just send it to me. Thanks.
Sure, yep. And I'm really hoping that we get the final version, because we put that in place, and yeah, we don't know when it's going to be released. I mean, I've heard that it will be released with ATR3, but it hasn't been done yet. So, and I'm hoping the changes are not too drastic. I don't think so, but we'll see. And we'll let everyone know.
This is the version that was given out early in ATR2 at the protests of the ATR2 grantees. There was an electronic version that was provided to beta testing sites, but there was really no electronic coordination of data that was collected. So I don't know what, they never requested our electronic data or any feedback from our beta users, so we're going with this version, and as Marion said, there may be some changes, hopefully not drastic, but this is the best and last information that was officially disseminated at all by SAMHSA CSAT to us, and that's just what we're going with. It may not be the accurate version, though. You need to understand that.
Yep, thanks. Thanks, Bernie. Yeah, this version is actually the latest one that they've been working on. So hopefully, they're already done. They're almost done. Good. Anything else? Any other questions about the RSSQ? Okay, we're doing great on time. So now I'm going to show everybody the recovery plan. So the recovery plan also in my scenario is done by the care coordinator. So what I have here on the menu, I have this recovery plan menu. Again, this is tied to a new role that is called Recovery Plan Full Access and Recovery Plan Read-Only. This means that if your care coordination agencies are the only ones doing the recovery plan, you want to make sure that the staff within the care coordination agency have been given this recovery plan full access role. If you have some provider agency that don't do it and you don't want it to show on the menu, just don't give them this recovery plan role. Make sense? Okay. So, so this is what I have. I have this recovery plan menu, and today I'm going to add a new recovery plan with everybody on the phone. So the recovery plan has a name. it has a period that is pre-populated with a year, but this can be changed by the user to whichever date time you want. The plan has a start date and an end date, and a review date. So the plan will be created today, and then we can decide that every 30 days we're going to review that recovery plan to make changes to it. So that's something you could do if that's part of your process. And here we have that question, has the client seen the recovery plan developed? Something I have to tell you before I move forward is the fact that this recovery plan module has been developed by the state of Maryland, and it has been done by looking at the existing treatment plan in WITS, the treatment plan functionality in WITS, and looking at the ROSC in Connecticut, the ROSC requirements. So a lot of things that you're going to see in the drop-down list and everywhere is based on the ROSC. So I'm clicking next, and here I have that continuing care overview. And this is an example of the values that are coming from the ROSC. What are the high-risk situations for my client? So he's hanging out with drinkers and in a bar. What are the recovery activities that the client is actually using? So okay, I'm going to mute, sorry. Okay, I'm muting everybody, and then I will let you ask questions. So I'm choosing some of these activities. And what will be the days to the next checkup? So the checkup is something I'm going to show you in a minute, but each time the client is going to come back to see the care coordinator, the care coordinator will create a checkup record on that client. So if you know that the client sees the care coordinator every week, you can have it set as 6 days, or if it's once a month, it can be 30 days. This is not tied to anything right now, but if we want in the future, we could create a homepage alert, a notification that will be tied to that number, so that a care coordinator could have a notification telling them that the client is due for a checkup. So you need to have that continuing care overview in order to continue. I can add team members to that recovery plan. So for those of you who are familiar with the treatment plan, this is the exact same screen as the treatment team. So we can add a team member to that recovery plan. This could be a staff or a non-staff person. So the staff will be the list of the staff that works within that agency, and the non-staff will be collateral contact, for example. So when you set up collateral contact on the client profile, then the name of the client will show. If you want to add a contact, you just click Add, and it brings you to the collateral contact page under the client profile, where you can add a collateral contact and attach that contact to the recovery team of that client. If I click Cancel, again, it brings me back to my team screen. I'm going to select the staff. So John Doe is the staff of my agency, and he's the case manager for that client. And this staff is going to be a recovery team member. So again, this screen is the same as the treatment team screen. If you want the staff or the person to be part of the recovery team, you need to set that flag to yes. Then you see there is this field that is dark yellow, so you're going to ask me what is that. This is a feature of WITS that if you know, you will be able to exclude some staff within the agency to be able to see a client profile record in the client list. So if you're selecting John Doe and you're saying that, yes, I want to deny access to the client records to John Doe, when John Doe will run the client list, John Doe won't be able to see that client. So some agencies are using that for, I don't think for ATR, but for the rest of WITS you will be able to use that. Just to let you know what that is, you may not need it, but I know some states really like having that in there. So here I just added John Doe as a team member within my recovery plan. So now when I'm going back to the continuing care screen, I can see that John Doe is now a team member of my continuing care team to the recovery plan of the client. So you can add a new contact, bring you to the client profile, right? And you click cancel, bring you back there. So I'm going to click on the arrow to go to the next screen. And here I'm going to add a new live domain. So a recovery plan is composed of a live domain. So you can have one or several live domains within a recovery plan. And these are the list of the live domains that I believe are also coming from the RAW. So what are my resources? And this is asked to the client. You know, this is very much, it's recovery oriented, but client oriented. So I'm a very good rugby player. What are my barriers? I can find a team to play with me. These are my examples. And then you can add goals. So each of these live domains will have one or several goals. So I'm starting it, so my goal is going to be in progress. My goal in the area is to find a team and play. I know I will achieve this goal when I will be able to communicate. And what is the projected achievement date? So I want to do that by the end of the month. Then each of these goals can have one or several objectives. I will achieve this goal by be sociable. And this is in progress. So that's one of my goals, right? But I have another one also. I have to get in a good physical shape. Because if I'm going to play, I need to be able to run, right? So I have these action steps now for each of my objectives. For my objective, I will be able to add action steps. So what will be my activity that I'm going to do? I'm going to run twice a week. And my status is currently it's in progress, right? And I can have different action steps for each of these objectives. So what you see also on that screen is the fact that we have these administrative actions here that says add plan service. This is where for each objective we are going to allow the client to receive services. And you're going to see this is where it's tied to our ATR services that we can provide in WITS VMS. So when I'm clicking on Add Planned Services, it opens that screen and gives me the list of all of the services that are the ATR services. So for those of you that are using WITS for ATR and non-ATR services, be aware that this is going to be the list of services that have the ATR indicator. So I'm in an ATR intake, I'm on the recovery plan, here I'm showing all of the ATR services. So I'm going to select which services that this client needs. And this is based on what I have in my standard site. I don't have that many, but I can choose one of them. And then the number of sessions. We're still on the recovery plan. We're planning for services. That doesn't mean that the client is going to receive them all, right? It's just a suggestion based on the recovery plan. What does the client want to do? And this is what we have. So the client wants to receive spiritual support and 5 sessions a month. Each of these planned services will be attached to an within a live domain, but it doesn't have to. Like if you want to add services and not tied to the objectives, you don't have to. Here I just created that planned service of housing, spiritual support. Now it brings me to that screen that you see on the menu. It says planned services. That's where I am. Here I have the list of all of the services that I'm planning within my recovery plan. You can click on Add Planned Services, and you can add some more services for that client. It will be 10 minutes per week. And here we see that it's not associated to an objective, but I could associate it to one if I want to, and for that I click on Add Objective, and then I can choose one of them. I click Finish, and then it is associating that objective to that planned service. So here I have 2 planned services for that client within my recovery plan. So we created the profile, we did the overview, we added the live domains, the goals, the objectives, and the key action steps, or the action steps, and the planned services. Now if I show you the outline, because you saw me creating all of these records, and you're probably lost already. But here there is this plan outline that is giving you a snapshot in one page, the tree view of your recovery plan. So we see that we have a recovery plan that has 1 live domain. That was this one, right? From here I'm able to add a new live domain, or I'm able to click on Review, and I'm going to be able to go back to that live domain and make changes to it if I need to. I click Finish, and I'm back to that outline. So I would suggest that as soon as you have created 1 live domain and goal objective, and just go to the outline, it will be easier for you to see where you stand on all of your records. So you have this live domain that has 1 goal and 2 objectives. See, we have this 1, and this 2, and this objective 2 has 1 action step. So from here you're able to click on Review, you can delete them, and you can add corresponding objectives to the goal or corresponding action steps to the objective. So this is what the recovery plan, the initial recovery plan looks like. So if I'm going back to my profile, you will see that there are some administrative actions, and I'm going to talk about the checkup in a minute. Once this recovery plan has been created, you will be able to sign off on that plan. If you click Sign Off, you will need to make sure that all of the team members that are associated to that client have reviewed the plan and approved it, and then you can sign off on that plan. Once the plan has been signed off, you will see that the plan is active and has been signed off, and the status changes, and now it's not editable. So the two things you can do from that point is to perform a review. So if you know that you have scheduled review once a month or once a week, you will be able to perform a review, or you will be able to create a new version. If you create a new version, it is just going to inactivate that one plan and create a new version that will then be totally editable and will be version 2, and you will be able to add more objectives and goals and action steps. Let me show you how to perform a review. The performing a review, I did that from the profile, so you could also have gone to the menu and start a review for the plan. So that's what we have under that different menu that is called Recovery Plan Review. You have review for a certain date, and this one is pending because I just started it. So I'm going to click Next. I'm creating that review record, and what I can do here, I have the snapshot of my plan, and let's say I'm going back a month later, and I will be able to modify or to make comments to that recovery plan. When I do that, then I can, let's say I want to add comments about that goal. Find people interested. So then what is the effectiveness of the action step? It is somewhat effective, right? And the progress is pretty good. And my goal is still in progress. So what I have done is that I have added a comment to that goal, and this is what it's showing. Here you have the legend that is showing you what has been changed to the outline. So the fact that the comment has been added is showing in red. Now if I want to delete that objective, it is going to show as the item has been deleted as part of the review. If you want to add or modify, it will show in red or in green. So that's what you do when you do the review. You can make the changes to the recovery plan, and each of these reviews have a date for the period and the date it has been done. You want to make sure you apply the changes of that review. Now it has been applied to the recovery plan. So this is what I have done. If I want to create a new version, I'm going to show you, if you want to know. I have that plan that is signed off. I have that new version of my plan, and I don't want to go through the review. What I want to do is to create a new version right away. So I'm clicking on Start a New Version, and it's actually going to start a new recovery plan using the template of what I have entered earlier. And so here we see that we have a new version. So with the date, it's probably not meaningful to you, but now I have a new version that is pre-populated, and I can go and change some of the values. I can change the theme. I can add new live domains and goals and objectives and action steps. That's how you are setting up your recovery plan and reviewing the recovery. This recovery checkup. So you have also seen now that on that profile screen of my recovery plan, I have a link to add a new checkup record. This will be each time the care coordinator is going to see the client and check with the client, where do you stand on your recovery? I want to do that checkup with you now. So there will be a date when the client comes, and there will be a staff that will do that checkup on the client. This is maybe something new for most of you. This is a new way of searching for staff, as the staff list could get very big within some agencies. This is called an on-demand drop-down list, where you will be able to start typing the name, and then you will click on this magnifying glass here, and it's going to find the one staff that has that name. If there are more than one staff, it will show in a drop-down list, and the user will have to select which staff it is. So start entering and then click the magnifying glass. If you don't know the name of the person, just use the magnifying glass, and it's going to give you the list of all of the staff of that agency. And don't ask me why it's not aligned. I don't know. I'm doing that checkup now with my date, my staff, the results. The client participated, so the client came back, and we did that checkup with him. Again, I believe this is based on the ROSC, so I may not be able to answer questions you have, but maybe. Where the care coordinator will talk with the client and ask these questions, and the client will be answering these questions, and the care coordinator will enter it in these fields. Okay, so there are text fields, and some are drop downs. Notice that none of them are really required right now. So you could skip some questions if you don't want to use them all. And then there is that risk assessment, where you will ask the client these questions and get the response from the client and answer any comments as necessary, as they arise. Okay. So based on the answer to these questions, so here are all of the questions. Let me know if I go too fast. And I have muted everybody. So you have these questions. I don't want to go too fast so that everybody can see. So this is coming from the activities that we have set up on the overview, if you remember. So based on the answer to all of these different questions, I will be able to calculate the score for that client. So I'm clicking on Calculate Score. And here it is giving me the risk factor, the protective factor, and the overall risk total based on the ROSC requirements. So the score has been calculated for you. And then we are on that new phase, so checkup case management. So the plan services, that you have set up in your plan, and I believe I just set up the plan, so that's why it's not showing up for me right now. Within my plan, I have added a couple of services, and I will be able to ask the client, okay, which services have you received since the last time I saw you? This is the question that is asked to the client. So the client is going to decide to tell coordinator will be able to see from the referred vouchers which services have been provided. So here it's just giving a chance for the client to talk about his recovery and which services he has received and ask any questions about how this went and all of that. There is also that additional service drop-down list here. This is the time where you're going to ask, the care coordinator is going to ask the client which other services than the ATR funded services have you received since the last time we saw each other, since last time you had the checkup done. This is a code table that will be available on the code table editor, and it's called Checkup Additional Services, where you will be able to enter any services that you know a client may be receiving within the course of their ATR treatment, but that are not services that are ATR funded. So that you can really track as a care coordinator and see all of the services that a client is receiving, either ATR or outside of ATR, and based on what the client is willing to tell you. So you will be able to enter additional information in here, the date for the next contact, the time, and when I click Save here, you will notice that at the bottom of the screen, it is populating the end time for my assessment, or for my checkup. So we know the time you started, and we know the time you ended that checkup. From there, I'm going to click on Add a New Encounter Record. So if the care coordinator wants to be paid for that monthly or weekly checkup that is done on the client, they will be able to select one of the two services that are attached to a voucher. That will be a care coordination service. The date is pre-populated to today, and the time based on the time that the checkup actually took. These can be changed by the user, obviously. These can totally be changed. And the number of sessions, and the staff is there too, the number of sessions will have to be entered by the user. And then they will be able to release this to be. And then you're back here. So this was my checkup. This was my checkup. If I go back to my recovery plan, I will be able to see that I had one checkup happening on that day for the client. So the next time the client comes, if it's the following week or the following month, just add a new checkup record and answer all of these questions again and see how all of that has evolved. So this is the recovery plan. Is everybody asleep yet?
No, we're still here.
Good, good. So this is the extent of what I wanted to show you about the recovery plan. The fact that you can plan all of that, add your plan services, and then each time the client comes, you do this checkup to see how the client is doing in his recovery.
Mariana, I have a question for you. The recovery plan, is that tied, or is that a key activity also, or is that access controlled elsewhere?
Yeah, this is not a key activity. This is controlled by the user role, system access. So it's by user. You will identify which staff can do that at the staff level. It's not at the agency level.
At the staff level?
It's at the staff level, yeah, not at the key activity.
Okay, so for example, if I had two different agencies and they have two different versions of a recovery plan that they would like to do for the client, it can be unique from agency to agency. It's not tied to a master patient index.
That's correct. It's unique per intake. Like here, I'm within the episode for that agency, and another agency will have another episode with that client.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Okay. And the recovery checkup is tied to that, which means that this is a core ATR3 addition.
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Do we have any feedback, questions, concerns, comments?
Marianne, one other thing I noticed on the ATR3 core elements on the January release notes, for recovery plan enabled, it's listed under the core activities, but it does not list Hawaii as an activating state. Is that, I believe we did ask to be activated somewhere in the past.
I'm going to check with Becky then, because yeah, that was probably not added for Hawaii.
Okay, so let's check on that, please. Thanks.
Yeah, so if any of you has stayed in the demo and didn't want the recovery plan before, but now you like it, just let your PM know, and we can make sure we add that in the next release for you. And that works also for the RSSQ. I don't think everybody wanted it, but most of the grantees wanted it. So. Okay, so I hope all of that was helpful for you guys. The January release will be updated on your training site. Just make sure you notify your PM when you're ready to update your training site so that we can schedule the update. And once that is done, you will be able to test that and play with these ATR for management, key activity, RSSQ, and recovery plans. So everything I showed you today, you will be able to do it yourself. And I have to tell you also that we will send you the documentation. We're updating the user guide with these new screens, and we will post that to the work forum. And we'll also make sure your PM is sending you your updated user guide.
Oh.
Okay, so if nobody has any questions, I guess we can finish the call now.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Marianne.